G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Oh man, I lost my voice a little bit for screaming too hard at my anger at the New Zealand commentary team in the game between the Blues and the Highlanders. So yeah, go have a look at that. I'm a big rant on that one. I still can't believe that apparently I should just be, according to Sir John Kerwin, I should just be watching Rugby League for free instead of paying $25 and getting Stan Sport for Rugby Union, right? So that aside, here's the reason why I paid Stan Sport, okay? This is the bonus I got on this weekend. I didn't know that Stan Sport had basketball, right? This is a game of basketball, according to the score. 48 points to 34, right? And again, I didn't know that the Rebels play basketball, but hey, at least they won. Rebels was able to win in a pretty good turnaround in the second half against the Western Force. I felt like when the Western Force reserves came onto the field, a lot of that polish, a lot of that clinicalness just completely going out the window for the Western Force. And then the Rebels was just like, the Rebels just would like pick the Western Force apart. There wasn't anything too crazy that the Rebels did that particularly like squeezed out. Like it wasn't like, oh my god, dominant line out every time there's a line out, there's a penalty, and there's nothing like that. It was just like the Western Force defense just fell apart. Like people weren't making their tackles. It's simple as that. And the Rebels just ran away. 4 tries in 30 minutes in the second half. The Rebels was down 19 points to 34. 15 points at the 50-minute mark. Sorry, like just before the 50-minute mark. Around the 50 minutes mark, they were down by 15 points. And yet they somehow won the game. I was like, oh my god, the Rebels gonna lose another one. I was celebrating, I was popping champagne, and then had to put the cork back into the bottle as this, incredible comeback the Rebels made and got me truly off my guard. But yes, it wouldn't be a Rebels game without a couple of things. One, Carter Gordon hitting the goalpost right in front again. This is the second week in a row Carter Gordon missed a penalty right in front and hit the goalpost. Last week was the right-hand post. This week he got a left-hand post. I guess next week, if he can hit the crossbar somehow, he'll win, right? He'll win like $1 million for being the first person to hit all 3 uprights in 3 weeks, right? I guess that's probably the reward that he's looking at. But yes, he's now just got to hit the crossbar next week, mate, and he can do it. So he's done that. The Rebels second half, especially the wingers, Callaway, Dalgunu, and Carter Gordon to some extent, just did so much work in the second half, completely just covering up the Western Force defense. The Western Force, when they had their starting team, looked really good. They were able to use the width quite well, being able to, shift the ball from one side of the field to the other side quite easily, especially with Harry Potter, right? Harry Potter was in the team. He was actually quite unstoppable, being able to get behind he was able to just wiggle through a lot of defense, setting up a lot of the Western Force points, opportunities, at least in the first half. The Western Force had a better breakdown. The Rebels wasn't committing the breakdown at all in the first half. And overall, the structure of the Western Force looked like way above the Rebels. It was just going to look like it's going to be a run over. And then somehow the switch just went off. Maybe the players came off the field or whatever. The Rebels just completely dominated the Western Force in the last 30 minutes. The one thing I thought the Rebels did work for them, especially in the last 30 minutes, is the high ball. The Rebels went to this little sort of like, I would say, Springbok style. Yes, it's not even the Springbok style anymore. Everybody does it nowadays. Like just a nice little high ball, 10 meters, 20 meters, and then completely contestable. And the Western Force players just not able to counter that. Multiple times the ball was left to bounce. In fact, one time did lead into a try. And the players not handling it. Like, and in fact, one of the players, I saw like the worst attempt to catching a high ball ever. The ball like bounced. Instead of like catching the ball only when it's bouncing up, he tried to like stop the ball from bouncing by like batting the ball down, which is just literally straight up leading to a knock-on. It's just straight up a knock-on, right? He's like trying to stop the ball from bouncing by patting the ball downwards. And which was just stupid. Like you can see the coach was just like shaking his head afterwards as well. So I'm not sure what is going on there with the Western Force when it comes to those high balls. And it was just pretty impressive. And also the Tanella Tupo time. First half gave me a lot of joy. The scrummaging was good. The carrying was good. Tupo time. Just before halftime as well, the Rebels went into extra time, went into overtime to try to get a scrum penalty from Tupo. They did able to get a try just before halftime. They just squeezed the scrummaging, like extra 6 minutes of just brutal Tupo scrummaging. And it was probably the only good thing that worked for the Rebels in the first half is Tupo time. But outside of that, the second half really somehow the Rebels put the rabbit out of the hat. But like the goal kicking wasn't working as well. They have the switch goal kickers for the Rebels. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, but they did somehow walked away with a massive win. 7 tries to 4, 589 run meters to the 584. Tackles 102 for the Rebels, 27 missed tackles, 164 for the Force, 29 missed tackles, a little bit higher than overall. Like I said, the kicking game in the second half, really the Rebels was just playing the Western Force a little bit. 30 kicks to 21. Bunch of missed conversions. Carter Gordon as well. Scrums. The Rebels was dominant. There was 2 scrum loss. One scrum loss for each team. But the Tupo was definitely the better scrum. Nick Berry was having very little patience with the scrum as well. Just giving out penalties again and again and again against the Western Force for early pushes. Tupo, I think especially in the first half, the Rebels was able to put themselves in a good spot with the referee. So the referee was under the impression that they gave the referee the impression that they had a better scrum. So then in the second half, even when Tupo was off the field, the referee still had that impression. And a lot of that 50-50, like sort of early engages, the penalty just went straight for the Rebels. And which I thought could have just been a 50-50 call. But yeah, just went straight for the Rebels, and Western Force didn't even get an opportunity to kind of like come back from that. 8 penalties against Rebels, 14 against the Western Force. There was 1 yellow card. I actually can't remember what happened in the yellow card. Was that before halftime? Anyway, I can't remember, but there was 1 yellow card against the Rebels player. But yeah, that is that. The turning point, I think, against the Western Force was quite interesting as well. They had a try on one end, and it was like disallowed. And then there wasn't a turning point. That was one of the points where, and then Rebels kind of fought back and scored a try on the other end. So it almost felt like, anyway, we'll talk about that now as we talk about the overall kind of like point summary. So right away, the Rebels, we look like Harry Potter set his teammate up for a try after a nice break. It was 2-on-1. He had to make a pass to score the try. What's this? This was like 3 minutes into the game or something. And this was a bit later. So anyway, Andrew Callaway gets the first try on ball for the Rebels, 7 minutes into the game. The Rebels was looking, quite flashy right away off the bat, maybe with the home ground advantage. The Western Force looked a little bit out of it at the beginning. 7 points to nil. Andrew Callaway goes in for the Rebels. Western Force immediately took back the reins. 9 minutes in the game. Tia goes in for the Western Force. And then it was all pretty much one side of the Western Force from there going forward for quite a while. Like I said, there was Harry Potter ran down the field. There was he just went through like 3 missed tackles. Almost got 2-on-1. He threw the pass and it was a forward pass. Could have been a try there. 15 minutes into the game, the Rebels, the Western Force gets another try on the board with Horton, and then they got themselves up with another penalty as well. 25 minutes, 17 points to 7. It took literally 35 minutes before Rebels finally get themselves in the second try, and just before this, like I said, was missed. It was forward pass for Western Force. Basically, the Rebels put a kick through, I think it was, and there was just a lot of pressure. The Western Force player it wasn't kick through. The Rebels made a nice break. The Western Force player was making a tackle, and he knocked the ball out of the air, but he knocked it backwards. The ball rolled backwards into the goal area, and then the Western Force got themselves tackled in goal. 5 minute scrum, and it was Tupo time. The Rebels didn't even need 2 ball to get a penalty. They got a penalty advantage anyway, and they swept down to the blind side. This is the move they did a couple of times with Carter Gordon would stand in the open side and then just sweep around to the blind and go in, just like link, immediately quitting, creating a bit of a +1 situation, going to the corner, get the Rebels back on board, 12 points to 17. Just before halftime, like I said, the Western Force, 39 minutes into the game, gets their 3rd try on the board. Pretty much immediately from the Carter Gordon try, where he swept around from the blind side. The Western Force fights back, lots of pressure, lots of tight play, pick and goes. Eventually, Nick White to Fury, and then Fury a nice little offload to Burley, who reached out for a try. Just before halftime, like I said, the Rebels could have gone in for like a penalty for easy 3 points, but they went for the try, which I really do commend them. They win penalty after penalty with the scrum, 2 time, 6 extra minutes of scrum. The commentary team once again was bashing this for some reason, and this is an Australian team, but not nearly as bad as when John Kerwin was on and talking about how he could save the game by talking to World Rugby. But eventually, again, a very similar move to when Carter Gordon scored earlier. Carter Gordon was on the open side, swept down the blind side, got the ball. This time creating an overlap with Andrew Callaway going to the corner. Really poor defense there by the Western Force. Halftime score, 19 points to 24. Second half, early penalty to Donaldson. Western Force tick it up to 27 points to 19. Harry Porter, again, just really, really good with his movements and really finding a lot of space for his teammate, finding a lot of space against the Rebels. He had an opportunity, just slips through a bunch of defenders, ran down the sidelines, some good hands with Tia, and then eventually eventually got really close to try line, and then they went one end of the field to the other end. There was open space for Wells, I think is a lock, go in for the 4th try for the Western Force. 34 points to 19. At this point, I was literally laughing, thinking that it's going to be a massive blowout. Turned out, the Rebels proved me wrong. Yes, unanswered points from now going forward, just all Rebels. 53 minutes. Nice offloads between the Rebels. Cannon to Kemley right in front of the goal line. Just nice little, pop behind from Cannon to Kemley to go in for another try for the Rebels. For the first try for the Rebels in the second half, I think. Second half. First try in the second half, 53 minutes, and then 2 minutes later, Carter Gordon gets an intercept. Again, just completely like the Western Force was, this was like 80, 70 meter run for Carter Gordon, and then the Carter Gordon did hit the goalpost, not with the Kemley try as well, right in front. But anyway, so the 2 tries unanswered in 3 minutes or so. A few minutes later, 57 minutes, there was a high ball. Nobody touched the ball. The ball just bounced on the ground, and the ball bounced towards the Western Force goal line. And Dalgunu is the fastest player on the scene, scooped up the ball and then running for another easy try. So Gordon try, the intercept, and the Dalgunu try is just way too easy. And this all happened in about 5 minutes. Suddenly, the scoreboard has opened up to 38 points to 34. 68 minutes into the game, the Rebels building a lot of momentum. They got more penalties. They went for the sideline. They didn't just kick for penalty goals, went for the sideline, building more momentum, getting another penalty. This one was right in front. Rebels went, okay, we'll take the 3, extending the lead to 7 points, 41 points to 37. 72 minutes into the game. Again, the Rebels was building pressure. Nice little grubber kick behind. Nobody seemed to saw this coming. Everybody failed to read this in the Western Force side. Dalgunu just ran straight through, scooped up the ball under the post. And that was a missed tackle by Lenawasa from the Rebels. And really, really just poor finish. And suddenly the game is just completely blown out of the water. 48 points to 34 to the Rebels. So bit of a basketball game, but it is what it is. Rebels actually win one. They apparently don't play any New Zealand teams till round 8, so I guess the Rebels would be ranked number 1 on on the overall Super Rugby ladder, hopefully, by that time. And that will get everybody excited and then fill out the stadium. And then Rebels are saved. And we'll get more Rebels game coming up. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.